And then, you know, it's good that you're working, it's good that you're freelancing, and then we're all like getting work and stuff. But then, like, you always hear of people like that are not getting work.
Yeah.
You know, like, for instance, like people that you went to film school with, you hear that they're struggling, like, you know, there's like COVID, there's a, you know, what is it, inflation or whatever, like recession, all that stuff. Like, what do you think is the difference between people that are able to get work and people that are literally struggling, like they studied but they just haven't cracked it? Like, do you think it's circumstance, it's, you know, attitude, or do you think it's just what's the difference? Like, why are they struggling and, you know, other people are thriving and stuff?
I think the most important thing for your career is the people that you work with. No matter what you're doing, you're not doing it by yourself. There's always people that you're working with, and that is your most important thing. And when it comes to the people that you're working with, there's two things that are going to affect those relationships. Two major things. There's probably other things, but the first is your interpersonal interaction. Like, are you able to speak to people? And the second is value, right? So if we are really great friends interpersonally, but you can't actually do your job, right? I cannot bring you to work with me, regardless of how much I like you, right? But if you're really good at your job and I really like working with you, I'm always going to make sure that you're around. If I see an opportunity, I'm going to think of you, right? And I think that you always need to, like, and this is like in terms of a professional setting, right? Like, you need to help as many people as you can, and you need to create value for as many people as you can, and you need to be a good person to everyone that you meet. Because you never know where it's, like, sometimes your big break comes from literally the grips on one job, right? And he puts you onto the biggest job you've ever had. And so I think that for me, you know, I went to film school. I started film school in 2015, so that's quite a while back now. But, you know, a lot of people don't manage to get into the industry or don't manage to stay in the industry because either A, they didn't understand what the industry is actually like, and they struggle with it once they actually get into it, right? Like, they think that it's going to be mostly about creativity, and they struggle with the actual hard work and discipline. Or they are not able to create value consistently. And when you're starting out, you need to understand that, like, everybody is better than you because you just started. Right? Regardless of how talented you are, you don't have the experience. And so you need to learn as quickly as possible and learn as much and as deeply as possible. And honestly, the people who I started with in film school, there's probably there's three or four that are doing really, really well right now. And there's majority of them who aren't even working in the film industry. And I could have told you who those 3 or 4 were in film school, right? And it's weird because all of us, we weren't necessarily all close friends, but we all sort of gravitated towards each other and acknowledged each other because you can feel that this person puts effort into learning their craft. This person puts effort into using that knowledge of their craft to be a good part of the community. Does that make sense? And so you learn really well what you're doing, right? If you're going to do camera, you need to know it really, really well. If you're going to do editing, you need to know it really, really well. And then that allows you to also help people. Like, for example, if I'm having a problem late at night, right, with an edit, and I phone you, right? I phone you. You're the guy that I call for 2 reasons. Number one, I know that you're probably going to know the answer, right? And number 2, I know that like you are someone who's going to be willing to help me, Does that make sense? And obviously also there's obviously within reason for that. I'm not going to be like, hey, can you edit this 12 episode series for me? You know what I mean? There's obviously but if I ask you hey, where's the button for this? Or, how do I change that? I know that if you'll help me. And it's a vice versa thing, but you'll notice that all of the people who stay in the industry, they all are like that. I know some of the biggest DOPs in the country that are working internationally, right? And you can literally phone them and be like, I'm sorry, I'm having a problem with this camera, what kind of filter should I use on this lens because the camera has interesting way that it processes the blues in the sensor. And he'll be like, no, da 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 da. Then when you look back, it's like, oh, he was at the Cannes Film Festival that day and he answered my call, and that's the type of people who actually make it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the difference that I see in those people. Honestly, a lot of people don't have the right mentality in terms of their work ethic and their craft. And then a lot of people also don't put effort into using that craft to create value for other people and be good to people to make friends. So yeah, that's what you've got to do to make it.
All right, don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. There was a Joshua. You said I mustn't name people. There was one guy who came to our university when I was studying, and he told us he was the only person out of his class that made it, and that probably only one or two people from our class would made it. And he said that you need 3 things. I think this is in a masterclass somewhere or something. I'm not sure, but he said that you need to be a really good person, right? You need to be really good at what you do, and you need to be really dedicated, right? And if you've got two of those 3, then you can make it, right? So being a good person is just be respectful, be friendly, be patient, be empathetic to people. Being dedicated is just be on time, put your all into it, do it properly, right? And being talented is obviously just, again, learn your craft as deeply as possible and practice as much as you can. Right now, it's easy to get 2 of, like he said, you need 2 of 3. You can get those 3. I do not think that if you have the ambition to really make this your life, and you want your life to be a good life, regardless of that means making good films that people can enjoy, regardless if that means making money, regardless if that means pushing the boundaries of cinema, whatever. Your goal is, if you want to be good at your goal, you should be able to challenge yourself to be good at all 3 of those things. And yeah, that's what he taught us. And I think that in my experience, it's true. I think in my experience, everyone who is working does have at least 2 of those 3. And most people have honestly got all 3.
Cool, man. No, thank you for that. So you guys heard from the man. Niani is telling you what you need to do to get into industry, stay in this industry, and thrive or thrive.
Thrive. Hey, that's
you heard that,
yeah.
So